Hey guys, welcome back. We're going to go ahead and knock out our last section in chapter 24, and it is echinoderms. Um, I'm going to have to apologize to you. I really should have finished the chapter in the last video. I didn't realize that we had 3 slides left, so we're going to wrap this up really quick. Echinoderms are over 6,000 marine invertebrates, and the most common example is called the sea star. We pretty commonly call them starfish, but they're not fish, so sea stars is a little more accurate. These guys are predators, and they're going to move around on these cool little structures called tube feet. And on the bottom of the star, they have a water vascular system where they can pump water up through the tube feet and out of the back and actually create suction on the bottom of these tube feet. And so they're going to be able to crawl slowly, but crawl around the ocean floor. And the good news for these predators is they are always faster than their prey, which is bivalves, clams and oysters that just sit there and don't move and filter feed. And the sea star slowly crawls over them, latches on with the tube feet, and starts to work apart the clam or the oyster or whatever it's trying to eat. And the muscles inside the bivalve are really strong, but they're going to get tired over time. And when they do, the clam will open up to the soft body inside, and then the sea star will push its stomach out of its body, wrap it around the clam, secrete a bunch of digestive juices, and actually digest that clam outside of its own body, and then just drink in the broth of what it digested out of that clam. So it's a pretty disgusting and really amazing way to catch something to eat. One of the things that makes starfish so very famous and popular is that they can regenerate lost body parts. As long as you give it some of its central ring, there's sort of a ring right in the middle of starfish that's got nerves and ganglia and that kind of stuff in it. And as long as you give it some of that central disc, you can grow a whole new starfish. So if it gets a little arm broken off, no big deal. It'll regrow an arm easily. There are brittle stars, which is like a sea star, but a brittle star is like a starfish that's really skinny. And so we call them brittle because their arms will break off a little easier. And they're seafloor scavengers. They're not really strong enough to be the predator that rips open the clam, but they can travel around and eat organic material off the ocean floor. And then there are also sea urchins, which you'll sometimes hear about people stepping on a sea urchin. They look like a pin cushion with all the pin cushions, the pins sticking out, like a little porcupine. And they have a really spiny, rounded covering. But all of these guys are covered with a really tough plate. Sea urchins, brittle stars, sea stars, all of them. That's what kind of makes an echinoderm an echinoderm, is these little, tiny, strong, interlocking plates that make them difficult to prey upon. That doesn't mean they don't have natural predators, they do, but they're more difficult to eat, and they are pretty good survivors. So here's your just standard starfish, right? And then here's his body. These are the little spines that make up that rough um, texture of the starfish. Here's a gonad and the digestive glands down here with a stomach up here. They have their little tiny tube feet are kind of sticking down here. Oh, this picture right here is actually better for tube feet that help it grip the sea floor. There's an eye spot, and here's the lower stomach that it can actually push outside of its body. Here's the excurrent siphon for those tube feet that can create that water pressure to make all of these grip the seafloor or rock or clam or whatever. And that's kind of how its body's put together. So sort of cool, sort of a cool animal. Points to ponder. Last thing for the chapter. Some people don't consider an organism a true animal unless it bleeds red when injured. Do any of the animals presented in this chapter fit this definition? First off, that's a dumb definition. I've never heard that before in my life, but that's dumb. Um, no, that's an easy one to answer. Okay, second, a little more tricky. Why is the word primitive not accurate in describing early groups like sponges and cnidarians? That's a little tougher question. I'll let you guys chew that one over. We'll talk about that one in class and see if we like the word primitive or not with really any of these animals and with your and I's particular worldview, it probably wouldn't, but we can certainly visit about that. So that was a big chapter, and I'll get you guys a big old Quizlet or review game built so we can go over just all the terms that we've learned, because we really have covered a lot of ground. But we'll call it a chapter there. So as always, thanks for your time.